Hello and welcome to this week's BizSmart Lunch and Learn webinar. Our weekly webinars are aimed to provide advice and share knowledge amongst business owners on key specialist topics and areas. This is part of our service to our Smart Room members. And if you're not already a member or a BizSmart client and would like to access our archive of webinars, then please visit our website biz-smart.co.uk and go to the Smart Room page. Our host joining me today is BizSmart Select member Les Gutteridge. Before we start their webinar, can I ask you all to use the question mark function on your screen to post any questions that you may have for Les, and he will answer them all at the end of the session. Thank you, Les. Over to you.
Thanks, Caroline. Hello again, everybody. Like it says on the screen, we didn't actually get through everything I anticipated last time, so I'm going to take up the reins from where I left off, probably recapping a little bit, just to make sure everybody's happy with something we talked about last time, which is VLOOKUP itself. So that's a bit about me. Less is more, we know that, don't we? And today is his take another VLOOKUP at this. So I'm going to move over shortly. We actually covered only VLOOKUP last time, so I'm going to get through these remaining formula topics hopefully in the next 30 minutes. So here we go. I'm going to go to Excel straight away, and I'm just going to touch on VLOOKUP itself a little bit this time, because I want to talk about using names in a formula, and if you don't know what a name is, then a name is a way of bookmarking an area of a spreadsheet so that you can either use it for navigation purposes, or you can use it, as we're going to in a minute, you can use it in a formula. So basically I'm going to use this bonus table to answer questions, and as you can see from up here, I've already given that area of the spreadsheet a name. I also want to be able to use this area over here in another VLOOKUP, and this one hasn't got a name. So this one's called bonus table for obvious reasons, it says so up there, and this area I'm actually going to call it employee. And all you do is you click in the name box, which is there, and you type up the name that you want. You're not allowed to use spaces. You can use underscores. I tend to use capital letters. If I'm going to use more than one word, I usually put a capital letter at the beginning of each word, and I'm actually going to call this employee. LU for lookup, and I'm actually going to then press enter, and that name is now an integral part of the spreadsheet, so that you can actually use that name for going to. There are several already made in this spreadsheet, so I'm just going to show you how you can use it for navigation. So you just click on the spreadsheet itself, on the list itself, and you actually jump to the name that you've just set up. So I'm now going to use this name, the bonus table, in the VLOOKUP. I'm going to do this faster than last time because I'm hoping that you've either practiced it or remembered it, or you're reasonably familiar with VLOOKUP. I'll do it faster than last time, because it took me 20 minutes, I think, to get through it all with the explanation, because I got carried away. Anyway, here we go. So I'm going to do this by formula build-up, because in Excel these days formulas are predictive. So I'm starting to type VLOOKUP. It's already come up with an offering, and I'm going to double click it, and it picks it up. And now I'm actually going to look up a value, and the value I want is actually, unfortunately, it's in a spot that I can't see. So I've just moved it over. It's in I8. Because remember, it's what am I looking up? Where am I looking it up? Now, when you've got a name in a spreadsheet, you can fetch the name by pressing F3, the function F3 key, while you're in the formula build. So I'm now pressing F3, and the one I'm after was the bonus table. So here it is, look, and I'm going to double click it, and it now becomes part of my formula. Alternatively, I could have started, if I remember the name that I've got in my system, you can start typing and it actually predictably brings up that name in order to help you to fill in the rest of the syntax of the formula. So I'm just going to double click it. So where am I looking it up? I'm looking it up in the bonus table. Now, what bonus does that person deserve? It was actually, I've forgotten what the figure was that's being hidden by the formula, but basically the bonus is going to come from the second column in this table. So I'm typing a figure 2 now, comma, because if you look here it actually tells you what stage you're at, because the stage you're at is bold. I now need a comma after that, and it's now telling me what sort of lookup am I going to have. Now, if it's a table like this where you slide down to a threshold and then award them the bonus, then you need an approximate match. In a minute you'll see that we can do an exact match over here on this formula that I'm going to make in a minute. But here we're doing an approximate match, so we need what's called true. I'm going to double click it. It fills the formula in, and I'm finishing off the bracket. You don't actually need to, because it'll auto complete. And if this person, Asta, has earned 7,100 and you look down the bonus table, you can see that they truly do deserve a £600 bonus. Just get in on the corner of that cell, and remember you can double click down and it will actually auto complete that column of figures. If I look at that, it's saying VLOOKUP I9 in the bonus table, fetch back column 2, and the word true means it's going to give you an approximate match, a slide down to the threshold. 5,200, well there's the threshold of 5,000, he deserves 400. 6,200, that person deserves 500. 2,900, the nearest threshold is 0, so he doesn't deserve anything, and so on. Poor chap. He should get out more and do some more work, let's face it. Okay, so that is an approximate VLOOKUP with a name in it. Now I'm going to do an exact VLOOKUP, because if you are using a person's ID, green 07, you can use this to great effect if you're actually doing a sort of a what shall I say, a timesheet for that person. You can set up a template with that will actually be fired by just putting their employee ID in. By using VLOOKUP, you can make it fetch back their name and their region. And if I had a wider lookup table, then you could fetch back a name and address, anything you want to really. But I've kept it simple. I've only got 3 columns in my employee lookup table. The name is in column 2 and the region is in column 3. So here we go. I want to do a VLOOKUP again. What am I looking up? I'm looking that ID up, and previously, I didn't mention this, but previously I'd already given it a name. It's employee ID. Comma, where's the table? Well, you'll remember we called it employee lookup. And all of a sudden it's actually predicted that for me, so I can double click it and pick it up. Comma, this is going to fetch back the name, so over here in the lookup table the name is in the second column. And differently to last time, I want an exact match because I want Green's name. So it's an exact match, so I'm double clicking on false. Just something you have to get used to. I'm not even finishing off the bracket this time. It's finished it off itself, look. If you've got more complex nested formulas, then you might have to finish off a few brackets. But in this case, I'd only got one formula, one function going on, so it finished it off. Just have another bite of that cherry. So this time I want a VLOOKUP to fetch back Green's region. So here we go. Equals VL. It's predicted it. I'm using, what am I using? I'm using the employee ID, comma, where am I looking it up? I know it's in the employee lookup table. Which column this time? I want his region, so it's in the third column. And do I want it to be exact? Yes, I do. So I'm going for false again. I don't need to put a bracket on because I know it'll do it for me. So Green is in the south. We can see that over there. But if you've got a massive spreadsheet with loads and loads of employees, then obviously you won't be able to double check visually. You just have to assume with confidence that you've done the right thing. But I've now got a drop down on here. That would be for another day. How do you get a list of drop downs in the cell? Not going to tell you, so there. So here we are. Aston, Evans. Evans is in north. So this is doing a great job. You've got a drop down, Jones and Central. Fabulous job, I say. What do you say, Caroline?
Brilliant.
You got to say that, otherwise, you know, I won't be your friend anymore. Okay. So that is a good business application of VLOOKUP to actually have a template of, it might be, as I said, a timesheet, and you want to put the personal information in as quickly as possible into your template. Now moving on. There's a couple of functions that might appeal to some of you. I'm just asking Caroline a thing here. If I want to move this across here, this one. Fabulous. Right, I got some of my screen obscured. So this one, I'll just show you that this formula, I'm not actually going to build the formulas in for the rest of the presentation. I'm just going to show you how to get them and show you how they're built up. So this one is finding out how many reps in this area here sold more than £15,000 in a month. We can, because it's a simple spreadsheet, we can do a visual count up, and you'll see that there are 12. Well, there's the one that isn't. There's another that isn't. And where's the other one? Can't see. Thank you. There's the third one. Caroline's lovely. She's just pointed it out to me. Bless her. So there's 12 out of the 15 that are below the threshold for the count up that I'm after. Here is a tip. To do the tip, I'm going to have to open Word for Windows because I need you to know where the keyboard shortcut is. So hurry up, Word for Windows. Should have had this open beforehand, but I forgot. Sorry, Caroline. She's tutting at me now. Keyboard. Okay, so this key here is actually what's called the back apostrophe key, really, but some people call it the grave accent because it's like on your in your French, and I'm doing control with that. I'm going back to Excel and I'm now doing control and back apostrophe. If you didn't know that, that is a super golden rule of today, a golden nugget of today. What control and back apostrophe does, look, is it switches you away from normal display into formula display. And I actually wanted to see, you see, the formula that's actually in there. So it's the Countif formula. And I'm just going to go back onto here to show you how the Countif works. The Countif, this is your inspection range. This is the rule that you're actually applying to the counting. So in math speak, that means greater than 15,000, which is what I said. These quotation marks will appear automatically if you do it through the, if you build it up by using the wizard, which is that button there, and you start finding Countif. I think I'd better start that just to make sure everybody's singing with the same hymn sheet. So I'm actually going to do the same formula in the yellow box down here. So here we go. I'm clicking that to start off. In this box up here, put in a suggestion from you in your own language. You don't have to be anything technical. So I'm just typing count and I'm clicking go, and down here you will actually get a suggestion relating on, usually what you put in there is fairly good at finding a target suggestion list. Here is Countif. There is a Countif S, which is gives you a bit more complexity, but I'll stick with Countif just for the moment. I am actually going to talk about it in a second. So Countif, double click it to use it. Up pops that dialog we saw a minute ago. Where is your inspection range? Just go over to the spreadsheet and drag over the range that you're after. Type in your rule in math speak, which is greater than 1500, 1000 even, sorry. If you are in this position, it will actually put the quotes in if you click OK, but I'm just going to show you. It'll put the quotes in if you click back in the first field. So there it is. It gives you an answer straight away if you're not used to this wizard, and it also gives you a chance to click a link to give you some help on that function. So when I train people to use functions in a spreadsheet, I sort of say, what is the starting point? And really and truly the starting point is to use this button to fire this wizard into operation, and it'll give you the chance to put in your own request, get a suggestion from the system like we saw, and then you start to recognize where you are, and then you're beginning to feel happy, and cooking on gas, I suppose, is a bit of a commonplace phrase, but anyway, here we go. So that's where it came from. It's giving me the same answer because it's obviously the same formula. Okay, so count if you want to count up not everyone but only those according to a certain rule, that's the name of the game. Similarly, there's a sum if. It's almost similar, but actually there's the inspection range, look again, which is C6 to E10, which is that. The rule is the same, but actually if your inspection range is not the range that you want to add up, it is in this case, so this will do the job I'm after at the moment. But if you want an inspection range and then have another range to add up to match that range. So for example, if I put in there, use this as my inspection range, and I said Astor equals Astor as my criteria, it would actually fetch Astor's total for me, which is I suppose it's another way of doing a lookup, but anyway. So you can actually have a sum range which is different to the inspection range. Hope that makes sense. Trying to make it as easy as possible, but unless you've done it a few times, it takes a while to sink in sometimes, I suppose. So here we go, clicking OK on that just to get back. Here, if I actually look at the wizard, this is what I'm on about, really. L6, I'm using L6 down to L17 as my inspection range. My criteria is equals north, but my sum range is actually, I want to find all the norths in there. When it knows where all, it fathoms out where all the norths are, and then it adds up the particular ones. So let's think about it. It's about 2,500. That's about 1,000. So that's about 3,500 so far. This is about This is about another 1,000. So that's about 4,500. And the actual answer, look, is 4,559 in detail. So the inspection range sometimes is different from the add range, the summation range. Hope that's okay. Moving on. I said there was a count if S and a sum if S, and the difference for those two are for each criteria, for each inspection range, you can put in a different rule, and you can have multiple criterion ranges. So if I click in that last field, look, it'll start offering me a third possibility. So this is like the big daddy compared to the other one I've just been talking about in terms of count if. Incidentally, we'll be sending you this spreadsheet with the examples on. So if I'm going a bit too fast for you now, and you're not taking it in as best as you'd like to, then have another look when you get the spreadsheet. Click on each of the places where there's a formula and investigate and do a bit of backward engineering, I suppose, is the phrase that has come into my head. So work back really to figure out where the answers are coming from. So it's looking down H6 to H88. It's finding where the ones that are more than or equal to 500, and it's also looking down H6 to H88 and finding those that are less than or equal to 1,200. So this is a way of saying an in-between. How many are there in between 500 and 1,200? Apparently there are 58, because there's actually, I've got loads and loads hidden here. Why is that? It's because I've got the filter on. Silly Leslie. I'll take the filter off. So that you can see actually how many are there. There's about 5 off 88. So there's 83 names here, but 58 of them are in the threshold, the in-between range, 500 and 1,200. To count up, let me just show you the criteria. I'm looking at D6 to D88 now. I want to know in that range, D6 to D88, how many there are in the central division. And I'm also looking at E6 to E88 and how many are in the HR department. And it's doing both of those, and apparently it's bringing me up a result of 6. Now I remember why the filtering was on, because if I look at central HR, it tells me down here, look, there are 6, but you might need it as a formula in a further calculation. Okay. Over here, I'm doing a similar thing, but with some if, with lots of criteria. Have a look at that. I'm almost as bad as last time. I think I've got some more material for the next webinar, Caroline. Sorry about that. I've too turned to go on a bit. But before I close off in the last 3 minutes, I actually want to talk about match, index, and the two working together. Now, match. What match does is it actually finds, I'm looking up F5. It looks up F5, it looks in, I'm looking in C5 to C13, that's down there, and it's matching exactly, finding out how many exact matches there are to that figure. And as you can see, there is exactly 1. As you click down this fill-in field list, it actually does explain what you need to put in each of the spots, and it actually says in here, if the match type is 1 or 0 or -1, you get a different response. If I do it by, let me just do it by knocking that out, you can actually see what the 0 meant. The 0 meant an exact match. If I want a underneath that ceiling, underneath a ceiling, then I'd go for the 1 option. And if I want a threshold and come down to a threshold, so it's going up to a ceiling or coming down to a threshold are the other 2 possibilities when you do a match. What's it for? Why? There's nothing, by the way, sometimes you get an error with match because that figure 7,200, I'm doing a naught, I'm doing an exact, sorry, I'm doing an exact match on this one, look, with a naught in. And there is no 7,200 in that list, so that's why it's giving me an error message answer. This figure, 5,540, I'm using it's actually coming up with number 4. It's actually doing a 1, so it's actually going to the ceiling. Okay, so what match is all about is finding the row that particular value that you're using to look up is in. When you know the row, you can actually use it for in the index. So here, I'm actually conscious I'm not doing a really good job here because I'm trying to fit something that takes more than 3 minutes into an explanation that takes more than 3 minutes into 3 minutes. But apologies, you'll have to come on to the next one to hear what's going on here. But if you know the row and the column, you can use index to actually do a lookup, just like you can with VLOOKUP. And then when you put them together, here's the way forward. Look, when you do index, you have an inspection range which is I8 to I16, which is here. You have a matching function going on which will find out the row like I just explained. So in I8 to I16, it's actually saying match E8 in the inspection range H8 to H16, and that's actually telling me that E8, which is 7,100, would match it roughly in this spot here. How many rows are counted up there? 6 is the answer. So this is why that's telling me this is the nearest. It's telling me an answer 6 there. and I need to do a better job on this. Sorry about it, but basically it's a bit more complex, but it's actually better than VLOOKUP. This is because with VLOOKUP you have to use the whole table to do the VLOOKUP, whereas with index and match you actually only have to use the appropriate columns in order to do the work you're after in order to do a lookup. So sorry about the rush again. I talk too much, that's my problem, don't you, Caroline?
No, not at all.
You're lovely, you. Okay, anyway folks, time flies when you're enjoying yourself. Sorry about that.
Oh, thank you, Les, that was great. Let's see if there's any questions come through for you. Yeah, thank you very much. Okay, the first question is from Steve, and he asks, can you recommend a way of beginning a task in Excel?
That's a massive question, really. Basically, there are two kinds of tasks in Excel. Usually one is a data task where it's a list of figures. And quite simply, well, not necessarily a list of figures, but a list of data. Quite simply, you just need to know what you're after in terms of field headings. Make sure you've covered everything before you start, because it's much better to downsize rather than trying to upsize when you've got data. So make sure you write down all the fields that you're after before you start, and then type up your heading list, a bit like this one really. Let's just go to the other one. Where were we? Where was it? This one. So what fields do I actually want there? I might need a few more later on, but you know, you've got a good start, so make sure you sort of knocked everything as much as you can on the head before you start. Hope that's a reasonable answer.
Yeah, perfect, thank you very much. Another question, Sarah asks, if I don't know Excel can do something mathematically, how can you suggest I find out?
Well, there's lots of websites that are, well, there's forum websites and there's teaching websites on the web. I'm just grabbing my phone because on my phone I've actually got a great website to tell you. It's providing I can stop fumbling. It's actually called gcflearnfree.org. gcflearnfree.org, and it's a great way of having a look at what is available in Excel. Also Google things, say, can you make the tea in Excel? That's a bit of a flippant remark, but can I do this? You know, whatever you're after, how do you do this in Excel, for example? You know, that's a good way, a good start. I often say, I don't know what I don't know, and I don't know what Excel can do. And it is actually a massive package. It's a wonderful package. It's the best thing on your computer, really, in terms of business and office use, obviously for maths and lists. So there you go.
Great. Okay, thanks Les. Thank you for hosting today's webinar. I will be sending out a copy of Les's presentations and all of the attachments he's used today to you all very shortly. But before we close, just a quick reminder, this webinar is part of a service to our Smart Room members. If you're not already a member or BizSmart client and would like to access our archive of webinars, then please do visit our website, biz-smart.co.uk, and go to the Smart Room page. Please do contact Les direct with any questions that you may have. Thank you very much for joining us, and we'll see you again next time.